And Kendra Andrews as well. She was at the Niner game last week. She was happy, having a great time. I wonder if she always, I know, how can you have a bad time in L.A.? How can you have a bad time in L.A.? City of Angels. I mean, what a road trip. OKC starts off with OKC. All right, fine. OKC. But you
they got good steak out there.
How do you know that?
I've been told. I've never been. I don't want to go to Oklahoma. Sorry.
I bet you Kendra, Kendra, good morning to you. Welcome back to the Morning Roast. I'm sure Kendra Andrews probably put in a petition. Hey, ESPN, can I put in PTO? I'll skip the OKC trip. I'll just meet the Warriors in Phoenix because we all love the Valley of the Sun.
That's exactly what I did.
You didn't go to OKC, Kendra? Are you serious?
I went to Oklahoma earlier in the season. I made my annual trip to Oklahoma and, met them in Phoenix.
There's nothing out there in Oklahoma is what you're saying, Kendra? Nothing?
I'm a city girl. We'll just say
there you go.
Can you confirm, as you wake up with us, and we really appreciate the time waking up at 8:30, and you're a psychopath for doing this, Kendra. And by the way, this is Joe Spinoti, not Joe Shasky. Yes. Shasky's out. Spinoti's doing a hell of a job. How are the steaks? Because Spinoti just said he heard there was good steaks in OKC.
I've never actually had a steak in Oklahoma City, but next year when I go for my one game a year there, I will try one and report back to you.
We will hold you to that.
Well, Slater's like an Oklahoma guy, right? He knows some good spots.
He didn't take you on a tour out there or something, Slater? What?
He is the Oklahoma guy.
Yeah. Oklahoma State Cowboy, former Oklahoma City Thunder. All right, enough about OKC. Enough about OKC. Let's get to the real business at hand. The Golden State Warriors, 10-14. They've lost 7 straight road games. They're 4-12 after a 6-2 start. Things are spiraling for this basketball team, and it all starts with Draymond Green. So you were there in front of Mike Dunleavy. I know you were asking Mike Dunleavy questions as well as Steve Kerr and Stephen Curry. So what's the mood? I guess we'll just start there. The mood right now, before the game and after the game, around this team after hearing about the Draymond Green suspension.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of just disappointment that this is happening again. But beyond that, I think is a genuine level of concern for Draymond. Steve Kerr repeatedly talked about how this is about Draymond, the person, the man, not the player. Stephen Curry said the same thing, the father, the husband, the friend. And that is a complete shift in tone than they have been in Draymond's past suspensions, right? It usually was just, we need to do what we need to do to get him out on the court. And in this instance, it's very much he needs to take as much time away from us as he needs to get right mentally and make sure that there's actually a change in behavior. I think because of that, the Warriors are really just trying to move forward, and there is a level of optimism seems like a silly word to say. The Warriors like the pieces that they have. We also, of course, heard that Mike Dunleavy seems very open to making some trades and bringing some new people in. But I think the Warriors also just understand, look, this is what it is.
Yeah.
We have to just deal with what it is. We're not going to have Draymond for an extended period of time. We have to move forward.
So you just mentioned it there, Kendra. Mike Dunleavy Jr., general manager of the Golden State Warriors, spoke yesterday, and he said, the team's next 15 to 20 games, it's going to play a major role in what they decide to do. What did you take from that? Is that if they're 500, if they're below 500 at this point in 20 games or so, everything's on the table outside of Stephen Curry? What did you take from that?
I don't know if it was necessarily like a record mark, but I kind of took it as he is putting almost, because we know there's some untouchable pieces on this team, he's putting almost everyone on notice and saying, if in 15 to 20 games, because in 15 to 20 games, you're going to be in mid-January, I think, early January. What comes after early January? A month later, the trade deadline comes. And so you're giving 15 to 20 games, and we're going to be assessing every single person, whether we're 500, whether we're a bit above 500. We know this team doesn't want to be a 500 team. And in this Western Conference, 500 isn't going to cut it. So how are you playing individually? How are you playing? How are you adding to this team? If you're not adding to this team, well, you could be, your days could be limited. If you're playing extremely well, your days could be much longer. That's kind of how I took it. And he's assessing everyone on an individual level of how they come together as a team. And in 15 to 20 games, they will probably start having those conversations that they've been very patient with having at this point.
Unreal. Kendra Andrews, ESPN. Don't forget tomorrow, Monte Ellis, will be signing autographs beginning at 4:30 p.m. for the first 50 fans in front of the Warriors shop at Thrive City. Warriors and Nets tomorrow evening as the Warriors begin a stretch of 11-13 at Chase Center. Kendra Andrews, of course, discussing the Warriors. She was with the team last night, and you talk about some of these individuals. One individual who got demoted, or not even demoted, I don't want to say that, but he got benched for the first time in his career in the regular season, and that was Andrew Wiggins. What is going on with him, Kendra? I mean, they've tried everything to get this guy jump-started. It's just, I've never seen him in a funk like this, whether it's Minnesota, whether it's with the Golden State Warriors. This is as bad as he's played. Heck, I don't even know if he played like this in middle school, Kendra. He's been that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, right? It is a mystery. And Wiggins says, I feel good. I still feel like it's coming. The question I always kind of ask when people say it's early is, well, when does it not become early anymore? Yeah. And I think we're starting to see a shift in that. Steve Kerr and the Warriors say it's not early anymore because you're past the stuff. That was the 24th game. That 20 to 25 game mark is always looked at the benchmark of what are we actually working with here. And that's why you saw his minutes cut down to 15 against the Suns. And that's also why you saw him be moved to the bench because he isn't producing. And that's just the natural thing. But even if you look back to last year, he was playing much better than he is now. But that was even a step down from what he gave them in that title run, right? So it's just kind of been a little steady digression, I think that's the word, for Andrew. But right now it's definitely way more noticeable.
Well, yesterday we were...
Regression? Is that the right word?
Regression, man. We can look it up. Trust me, we got a Merriam-Webster dictionary on deck here. Because yesterday we were asking people to describe Draymond Green with one word, and I heard some words I'd never even heard of. I was like, damn, I thought I got a good score in the SATs. I don't know what's going on.
I think recidivism was one of them.
Yeah. It works for us, Kendra.
Kendra, how important was that performance last night for Klay, even in a loss, for his mentals going forward, if you will? Because he's been pretty down. I mean, this is a guy, Klay Thompson, who's won 4 titles here. He's a made man, but even the fans are getting a little bit impatient with Klay. How big of a performance was that for him going forward?
I think it's really big. It's big for any guy to have a get-right performance, especially Klay. He's probably one of the most confident people I know. And so it was kind of like, it wasn't as much a reminder for him as I think for other people, like, this is what I do. This is who I am. Now, of course, the key is going to be doing it consistently. And, Steve talked about it a little bit after the game, but in every good game Klay has had this season, and you guys know this as much as anyone else who tuned into the Warriors, he wasn't forcing anything. He was playing so within the flow of the game, and that's what unlocked him. And you just keep saying that over and over and over again. So you just hope that it's like, okay, Klay, you're 12 years in, let's see this consistently. I think that's what the Warriors are really looking for him now. And with Draymond out for the foreseeable future, with Andrew struggling, with Kevon struggling, with all these things happening, they really need that from Klay going forward.
Kendra, I know, without any biases whatsoever, whatever your gut tells you, because I'm thinking about what Mike Dunleavy said in front of you yesterday and all the reporters saying, hey, 10 to 15 games, we'll see what this team is like. It's going to determine a lot here. Do you believe in your heart of hearts that they could ever possibly trade Klay? Because I don't see it because of the business aspect of everything and what he means to this fan base, but he does have an expiring contract. And he may, I don't know what you could get back for Klay, but I know there's teams out there who value his shooting. And if you got young athletic players who could break people off the dribble, break down defenses off the dribble, Klay could be effective. He's still one of the best shooters in the league. But if this season does go awry and they go 4-11 over the next 15 and they're 10, 12 games under 500, could you possibly see the Golden State Warriors trading Klay Thompson?
Right. I mean, it is such a weird thing to think about. And, I grew up in Oakland, so Klay has always been on the Warriors as far as I can ever remember, right? So it would be a really, really weird thing to see. And for business-wise, you say, well, no, you never trade Klay Thompson, right? But at the same time, there's another side of the business that you say, oh no, maybe you do. It depends on what side of the business is better business, I guess. And maybe there's a way that you both are good. Like you keep Klay and he plays really well, and that's good for both sides of the business, right?
Yeah.
I think it really depends, but I also think if the Warriors are all about taking advantage of Steph Curry's prime, you don't put things off the table. And I think that there is this beautiful picture painted of Steph and Klay and Draymond all starting and ending their careers with the Warriors. That, I think I was talking about that with another reporter the other night. I think the only other team that I can think of that has had that kind of full circle is the San Antonio Spurs. Like, you're lucky if you get one guy to stay their entire career with one team, right?
Yeah.
To have three is so rare. Michael Jordan Bulls, right?
Yep.
Like, even times with like the Lakers, the guys that come and go. It's a hard thing to accomplish. And I think right now with the state that the Warriors are in, you really start to ponder, like, is that possible? Is it possible for all three of these guys to have that full circle moment? It's definitely not off the table, right?
Yep.
But I also think you do just start thinking of, as you said, he has an expiring contract. If he walks away, if he leaves the Warriors, do we do it for nothing, or do we try and get something back for it? And it's going to be a really hard thing to approach and address, I know, because like you said, Klay is just so sewed into the fabric of this team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're about 13, 14 minutes into the conversation. A guy we really haven't talked about is the best player on the team, one of the best in the league, and Stephen Curry. How's he handling all this, Kendra? Because when I heard him talk yesterday, it feels like more than ever he's feeling the weight of the organization on his shoulders, and I can see him pressing out there. He's going to have bad games occasionally, but it feels like whenever Steph has a bad game now moving forward, this team just, I don't know. It's going to be very difficult for them to win when he has an off night.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it in him playing. I think when I watch him in these games, he does look more unhappy, right? And maybe unhappy is he looks more frustrated. Things in games, right, are getting him more frustrated. He's a fiery guy, right? But he's usually a very also composed player and unleashes his anger at very specific moments. That's the kind of guy Steph is. But you do see a little bit more of a rattled Steph Curry. And, I think there is a lot on his shoulders, and a lot is being put on him, and a lot of guys are looking to him to have answers and guide. And I think that's maybe internal, but really external. Like, a lot of people are like, what's Stephen Curry doing to get everything right? And it is really tricky. And I think, again, that's why you say you look at the next 15 to 20 games and you, Mike Dunleavy, whoever asks, what do we need to do to help Steph? Because at the end of the day, that's the guy who's going to win you championships. And right now they're putting him out there with 22-year-olds. And the 22-year-olds are doing as great of a job as they can. They're playing better than their veteran counterparts. I asked Steph last night, like, how is that? Historically, you've tried to get out of funks with four-time champions, Hall of Famers, veteran players, and now you're doing it with a group of young kids. And he said, like, our fabric is a little bit threatened right now, but all you can do is just push forward, and that's what he's trying to do. But at a certain point, you do, and Mike Dunleavy and the Warriors have to assess what can we do to help Steph.
Yeah, that's well said, Kendra. Well said there. By the way, the streets are telling me, a.k.a. the Borgeses, George and Izzy, you're having a good time.
Oh my
at Levi
God,
Stadium last week.
Shafty came over and saw us too. Listen, we missed you at the tailgate, Bonte. Next time.
Yeah, next time. Your boy wanted to stay home. I let the family go to the game. I just wanted to home. I wanted to be home alone.
That was a snoozer.
I wanted to be home alone with YouTube TV, kids. I just wanted to chill, man.
I get it.
He gets up for the big ones. If it's the Eagles or Cowboys, you'll see Bonte.
No, that's not
Seahawks
true.
or Cardinals.
That's not true. I go to all the games. I just wanted a day off. That's all. Wanted a house to myself. You know how that is, Kendra. Just want some R&R.
Listen, I'm a couch potato at heart, so I respect it.
There we go. Kendra Andrews, hey, good job as always. Thank you for waking up with this. We'll see you tomorrow at Chase Center. Continue the great work at ESPN.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Kendra Andrews, ESPN.com, covering the Golden State Warriors. A lot that she said there is hard to disagree with. It's hard to disagree with. The Andrew